we're going to be driving the discussion on public service delivery. And there we're going to be calling for the reform of the way we deliver and fund public services in New York State. I think it's pretty clear, we all understand this, that our property taxpayers cannot afford to keep funding the state's Medicaid program and a growing number of health, human services, and public safety programs each year. That can't continue. We're going to drive the conversation on property taxes. I go right to one issue. If New Yorkers think that they want a property tax cap, and they do, we need to let them know that that will only lock in the highest property taxes in the nation. I know Tom Santulli mentioned that on average, property taxes in New York State, on average, are about 80% right now higher than the rest of the country. So a cap locks that in. So clearly we know that a cap can be part of the picture, but it cannot just be there by itself. And we need to drive home the point that work has to be done to address the root causes of the problem. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. There's a growing revenue expenditure imbalance in the state budget, and we've got to get Albany to understand that that is difficult work. We appreciate that, but it's work that has to be done, or none of this is going to be repaired. I really think that, when you look at the work ahead for state leaders, and we're going to have to help them understand this as well, they really want to reduce the property tax burden. They do need to reduce the mandates. And here it is, that mandate discussion once again. Every few months, we get together and we talk about it as a board. We talk as a general membership at our conference in the fall, at our legislative meeting in January. We discuss it at home. Day after day after day, as we go about the work with delivering services and trying to keep our budgets in balance. But the fact is, that's what we need to get Albany to focus on, reducing the mandates. Then we can really start to talk about tax relief. We're going to drive the discussion on mandates, as I mentioned, some of them early on that fall in the general categories of health and human service, public safety. Still, the one big mandate that we all understand needs to be taken up is Medicaid. And quite honestly, I think we'll all agree, we should have never have been put in a position, put in the business, so to speak, of paying for Medicaid in the first place. And my memory serves correctly, what are we in the 4th or 5th decade of having this responsibility under state law? The state is talking about taking over Medicaid administration. The NYSAC Association will tell them that the only way that makes sense, the only way that will save money and make the program more efficient is if the state takes over the entire cost of the Medicaid program. And you know the NYSAC Presidential Commission on the takeover of Medicaid that President Santulli created this summer will be recommending just that in the coming weeks. I just very quickly share to you that part of the draft report, as much as possible, is going to be emailed out on Monday. There'll be some discussions about it in front of the full commission by a webinar, use of technology, which we're really excelling at under Steve's leadership. I think on the 22nd, that'll be Wednesday. And at some point, probably in early October, it'll be released to the Department of Health, and hopefully read, understood, and utilized as an important tool as they approach the governor to meet that November 30th deadline with a plan that they have created that they think should be implemented. We're going to drive the discussion on state reimbursement. State reimbursement. What a timely topic. The state needs to live up to its own prompt payment laws. We're going to demand that prompt payment be made for the programs and services counties deliver for the state. If the services that we deliver are not going to be paid for by New York, if they're going to continue to use us I guess like as the local bank, by borrowing cash, by delaying reimbursement payments, then we're going to have to start charging interest. I don't know whether Tony rather got here. Okay, I'm sorry about this, but let me point out, Oneida County Executive Tony Vicente should be sitting right behind me here right now, but we all, I think, have heard that he's delayed, and I think the figure is 8 weeks now, but he's delayed the county's Medicaid payments to the state. We've all talked about that. We've talked about that in Westchester. The Oneida County Executive is already at the 2-month mark in delaying payments to the state. There's a question for you. You think they're charging him interest? Well, you bet they are. So in all seriousness, let me get back to the suggestion. Counties need to charge interest. They need to charge the state, and we'll submit legislation that will require that the state pay interest when they delay reimbursements to the counties. The fifth and final item that I just wanted to sketch out for you is economic development. We're going to drive that discussion as well. And on that front, we're going to ask the state to change. It's kind of like a scatter-shot approach. They have 22 agencies, I think, do more competing with one another. It'd be nice if everything was on the same page. But it's a state, not very well organized approach to economic development. We need a centralized economic development strategy that takes advantage of our regional strengths. And when you stay back and look at New York, Erie, down to typical Long Island, Clinton, down to New York City, some tremendous diversity when you're looking at what the different regions have going for. That's something that we need to do. Agriculture was mentioned here a little while ago. So important. I don't come from farmland. Westchester County is urban, suburban, northern part of Westchester, a little bit rural, but not too many actual farms. Not certainly anything on the magnitude of what you see further up the Hudson Valley in the west. So when I first went to Albany 25 years ago, that's when my education started about the importance of the farming component of the state economy. Jobs, revenue, food that we eat here, food that is eaten across this country. Very, very important component of the state economy. And we really need to properly promote the agricultural industry as the real economic engine in New York that it is. For those of you who may not be aware of it, and maybe some of my colleagues down in the lower part of New York aren't, but milk and cheese and yogurt. The wine, I had an opportunity to visit some of the wine component of all of this out in Gates County 2 years ago. Beef, pork, chicken, eggs. Our farms grow the food that we eat. See what else I can think of. Onions and apples, of course, you name it. And so it's a really big, important picture. I think that, I think there's a sense that maybe the Blue Ribbon Task Force has wrapped up a lot of what it had to do. But let me just say that, we talked about this a little while ago in the meeting, but the Blue Ribbon Task Force on the Future of New York Farming, that again was established by President Santulli and is under the direction being chaired by the great Doug Berwanger of Wyoming County. It seems to me that to the extent that I went through the report, they've handled some really short-term goals, they've done it well, they've laid some things out, but they talk about intermediate and long-term, and I think they're going to be in business for a while because we have to make sure that what happens in the upcoming year and in the years ahead, that somebody's watching the policies, the actions taken in Albany to be absolutely sure that they promote, they help, they strengthen farming, the farming